Thank you, Chair, and I want to thank you all so much for being here today. Thank you for your service. And I feel really sad and disappointed that we still live in a country and in a world where we have to ask people to come and bleed in front of us. And I just want to say that part of our job is to listen, but a bigger part of our job is to believe. And I just want to say I believe very much what all of you testified today. And I'm very, very honored that you took up that space and were here with us today to do that. So what I felt was really impactful was how many times I heard the word invisible by the testimony that was said today, and that we have a system that, of course, seems to continually make women's realities invisible, and that impact is having a particular one in the service of our military. So my first question, and I'm going to ask all of you and start first with Donna, is one of the things that I've heard again and again is that when you come to VAC, it's like you have to prove everything that happened to you so that they will treat you for it on the other side at VAC. And if they don't believe you, which goes back to my original statements, then it's really hard. So then you're denied and you have to appeal and appeal. So I'm just wondering if you could talk about that experience and what the impact is and any recommendations you have on changing that.
I think one of the major changes that happened, and it happened after the class action, was having more dedicated staff, specifically managing these files. I don't know about everybody else's experience, but mine sat, my claim for PTSD sat for about 2.5, 3 years until they introduced like the dedicated system, and then it was more fast-tracked, both because of the class action it was required, but also because they had staff that was trained in what to look for. Because sexual assault remains something that is really hard for people to come forward and talk about, it remains underreported, and that's men and women. We know that they're assaulted at great numbers and don't come forward for this for a lot of very specific reasons. So knowing that they don't come in with proof, knowing that they don't come in necessarily having talked to a doctor or even making a police report, that needs to be, again, more education, more trauma-informed, understanding that, you know what, no, we're not going to have all the paperwork that we might have if we break a leg or if we suffer some kind of physical, foot injury or something like that, but that doesn't make our injury any less valid.
Rosemary?
I'm going to turn it to the unknown. VAC only has approximately 14% of women who are receiving benefits. The invisibility is of women who have served and are not known to VAC, or think because of the issues that they don't deserve to be considered as veterans. And Dr. Maya Eichler has commented on that it's a self-defeating problem where there is this I don't deserve. And so VAC is trying to reach out, but its methods are, it's a very difficult task for a government to create a sense of trust that we do care and please apply and we're here to listen. I don't envy that, but I think we have the 14% with the difficulty, as you say, of showing that this is warranted, because there are not the examples of precedent. This is new. These are new decisions being made. It's a ever-changing landscape. But in particular, one of the problems, and it is for men and women, is when they have served under certain policies, and the decisions about about their release have been decided at that point in time. Mm-hmm. When the policies change, it doesn't affect them. They're stuck to the old one.
Thanks for raising that question. I think it's a great one, and I'm going to pick up on what others have said. Veterans Affairs Canada needs to do a lot more outreach to put television ads and some social media. we find we can put things all day on Twitter, but it's just not reaching purge survivors who were fired in the 70s and 80s, who are aging now and aren't as familiar with social media. And they don't know what services might even be provided to them. So it's not only that they don't deserve the support, but they probably think in many cases that they don't qualify for support. So many of us who were purged were were fired often very quickly, with a lot of shame, no sense of any community. In fact, the military pushed people very, very far away. And people were so ashamed, they also didn't seek comfort in family. They may have been rejected there too, had the reason for their dismissal and their firing been known to some family members. So these people are really alone, and trust is hard to be built. Lesbians now that went through this purging, also trans women, we didn't even know that we were deemed veterans, that the definition had changed. So people haven't come forward. But we have to find these people. I think that's a duty we owe these kinds of veterans. And then if they do make that call to be super trauma informed, to be survivor centered, as was said, and to tell them how much they're going to be respected, that whoever's receiving them is aware of the history. It's not hard to learn this history. We're doing like literally thousands of micro outreach opportunities. And the other thing I would say is that Veterans Affairs Canada could help us by respectfully connecting survivors of the purge to outside organizations that are bringing peers together, that are, directing them to other resources that might be there, that just gives them a sense that they're not alone, that their privacy can still be respected, but that other people with common experiences are around. Most don't even know that that exists. And we'd love to find them and just tell them how loved they are, how valued they are, and how much we respect their service. This is another kind of woman veteran who is so invisible. They're even sometimes ashamed to come out to other veterans in case they get a really bad experience and are pushed away, probably for the last time.
Okay, so we're well past the time for this round, but I did see Ms. Wood had her hand up and was wanting to get a chance to respond. If you can do so as briefly as you can.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And to be brief, I just connect so much with what you've all said. I think there's a challenge in finding and reaching our legacy veterans. And a more low-tech approach may be needed to find them. More visits to smaller places, more advertising on television. Another group that I believe struggles to self-identify as veterans are people like myself who were injured early on in their career. There are some people who are injured in basic training. There are people like myself who were severely injured 18 months in, and I did not start calling myself a veteran for about 5 years, and I was absolutely embarrassed to say that I had served because I left after being assaulted. I felt ashamed that I had left. I gave up. I didn't stay in for 20 years and fight it. I gave up. I've heard Michelle say this before. I've done more outside of the military to better the military than I ever could have in it. I'll end there, Mr. Chair. Thank you.